Hi there, my name is Shaz Barbaric, and I'm running for the President of the United States 2020. It's going to be a long path to get there, a long, arduous road. We don't have a political party, we're going to have to invent one. I don't quite have the expertise or the character to run, I'm going to have to develop it, and no one believes in me or even knows that I am attempting this feat. But I have confidence. I have confidence in myself. And more importantly, I have a video. I have a video to start. What video are we on? We are on. We finished Untitled. We finished the third one. I realized that, you know what? I'm going to have to do this another day. I don't want to do 6 videos today or 7 videos. So we're going to do one more today. Let this sunlight die. It's a 4:36. Probably finish this by 5:30. And then I'll do some writing. And then I'll watch the Laker game at 7. When is the Laker game? Let me check that. Then I'll do some more writing and some more reading. Yeah, that's it. Then we'll do some videos tomorrow. Why not? I don't have any. Tomorrow is a non-gym day, so instead of going to the gym, we'll finish up our work. Laker game's tonight at 7. Perfect. We'll finish this by 5:30. I have an hour and a half to write before the game. What am I going to write today? I'm going to write a continuation of my autobiography. That's all Shaz does. All Shaz does is analyze his life, apparently. So we did Untitled. Let's read the Pooks text, and then I guess hopefully we stop talking so much about Pooks. This is important because I was writing that that Untitled first attempt at an autobiography at the end of 2017, and I sent it to Pooks. And that's the first person. That's the biggest issue I had in our relationship is I didn't feel like I was being sincere, not in my relation to her because I was having like my affairs outside the relationship. Sometimes, most of the times it was out of the city when I'm in Puerto Rico or other stuff, but a couple of them were like I was in between apartments. I stayed at a hostel. I hooked up with some girls from the hostel. I that was it. And it wasn't like I had a girlfriend while I was dating her, but New York is a hard place for temptations. And again, I don't think that you have to be strictly monogamous in a relationship, but you want to be open and honest, or else what are you building? So I don't really believe in cheating, non-cheating dichotomy, but if you're trying to build something sincere and honest, then it has to be sincere and honest. And also, I don't like actions which seem to be born out of a lack of courage. And you're really the not telling your partner about what you're doing is because you're afraid of the consequences. If you're brave enough to do something, then you should be brave. I told her eventually after we had broken up and stuff. At this point, she didn't know just how shitty I was at certain points in our relationship. Like I went to a party and hooked up with someone at the party and tell her stupid stuff like that. It's like, would she have broken up with me about that? No, she would have. But so this is a part of like being more honest. But I'm being more honest about my artistic stuff first, and then later on, I was like, you know what? I wasn't the best to you while we were together, and this, and that happened, and maybe that's why she has her distance from me now. But yeah. So I was showing her what I was writing, and I hadn't told anyone. I was just now reconciling last year around this time, Christmas, 2017. I just reconciled what I had lived and trying to get that real estate mind and then all of this art that I'd created and all these emotions and thoughts that I'd developed over my life and get them all on the same page, get everything into be one unified version of Shaz. And I met Pooks when I was David. She called me Pooks. She never really called me David. She didn't call me Shaz. We had our own thing, which is what love does. You create your own world. Pookity pook pook. So she says, what do you think of the new landing page? I'm writing it and putting it online and then sending it to her. I'm talking to her because I'm holed up in my own. My friends stopped by for Christmas, but other than that, I was all by myself. I was kind of bummed out because I wanted to have Christmas with family. Family is really important to me. And I didn't have enough money to do that because I stopped working. My family's worried about me. My friend stops by, checks in on me. She smokes me out. I didn't have any money for weed. I was eating like a bagel a day. I wasn't eating much. just let my money stretch, and then every now and then, like, a Shaw would come by, give me 20. Until I started the Airbnb and I got a couple people in my apartment, I was just letting everything go, not paying my bills. Oh no, yeah. Until in January, Shaw was like, "Look, here's." I think she gave me a couple bucks. She was like 100 or something. She was like, "Here, restart your real estate career." And then I made that 6,000. Those two clients closed in January, and that's what capitalized my Airbnb. For some reason, I paid some debts. I was so far behind in my bills. I spent 2,000 on the Airbnb, and then what did I do? I kept a little bit of that, paid my gym. Got to keep that gym going. Some other shit, but I paid a couple grand in debts, which is like, if I'm gonna let it go anyways, there's no reason to pay that shit. But yeah, so at this point, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm in the middle of all that turn of like the end of 2017. So I'm talking to Pooks, and Pooks is my lifeline, keeping me going. The women and the friends and the relationships I have in life when I get into these manic artistic phases, which keep me grounded. So I say, what do you think of the new landing page? Shaz Barbaric, the ingenious barbarian. I like it. It goes with your website colors. Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 are the same, though. I had a different format. I'll probably keep changing it up. I have to write Chapter 6. I'm coming up with these ideas as I write them. Remember, I didn't think the project was going to end up like this. That's the point. It's an organic exploration. But I think I'm almost done. Oh my God, dude. Internet just got cut off, and I'm using my cell phone now, so it better be done. You know what happened? I had an Airbnb who came in, and they infused me with a couple $100 of cash flow. So that's what it was. I don't think Pooks gave me money. Those Airbnb people came in for New Year's. Luckily, I had an apartment. Not luckily, I earned that apartment, but I knew I had something of value. I was like, fuck it. I don't want to work. I'm going into this existential mode, but I'm sitting on an apartment in a very desirable part of the world. So I put it on Airbnb. I got those guys to pay me since my bank account was overdrawn. I've gone through a couple bank accounts this year. I had them pay me cash. Canceled the Airbnb. They just gave me cash. And that's when I finished this up. So yeah, right after the New Year's, I got a couple bucks. But I'm in between Christmas and New Year's here before the Airbnb comes. Wondering. Circle is drawing. I'm thinking, if I sell this book, if I just put it out there, I'll be able to sell it within a couple weeks, month max, couple days. Just all the irrational timelines of the Shaz. Circle is drawing to a close around me. Bill collector's calling every day. Winter is coming, motherfucker. Basic ass Pooks. Referencing Game of Thrones. I watched Game of Thrones too. That's what it was. I was doing all the basic shit. I was on Reddit watching Game of Thrones. I was being a normal socialized individual. 2,000 overdrawn in the bank, 100 cash on me. The hero does not hold anything back. That's why he earns the right to be called a hero. He slays what the rest of us fear. That was my own fears, the bills. Can't really speak for everyone else, but that was the biggest. Working so hard, slaving away so hard, accumulating so much debt where I was paying like about 10 grand in bills every month. That's what I was most worried about, ruining that credit that I had saved. I'm going to finish then take some mushrooms. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I've been wanting to take mushrooms for a minute. I was hanging with my friend yesterday. We were talking about my family. I mentioned my brother. He mentioned issues he has with his parents. Me and Pooks process a lot about our family. That's why we developed our relationship got so deep. I realized it's really, I don't know what I realized, but I think partners are there to help you explore yourself through them through you. And we helped each other a lot. And that's what, the little we've been talking right now is that, appreciating each other for what we helped in our lives. He said that he does ayahuasca retreats. Maybe convince my brother to try it. You have to practice to be able to play an instrument. That's a complicated instrument. I suggest you try gradual increasing mushroom doses first. I've met people who don't seem to have contextualized their trips. I'm a little suspicious about doing psychedelics just for the sake of doing them. I mean, I'm not superstitious about them, so if you want to do them. Check in with yourself first. But I know a lot of people who've done a lot of drugs, and I don't feel like they have much to offer for it. I know people also who do, and definitely the drugs were a part of their awakening, but yeah, you could do them and not get the message too, I think. I've met a couple people where I'm like, I would tell Addie that. But then again, me and Addie have come back around to each other. But I'd be like, how can you fucking do the things you do in life and have done the drugs you've done. I know they don't just give you wisdom. They just let you look at the world in a different way. But if you have biases, they might be protected from that mode as well. And you're looking at the world a different way, but are you questioning your assumptions? Or are you just, I could sit in every class in Harvard and still not learn anything if I'm not tuned in, paying attention, doing the work, reading the stuff. So psychedelics could be like Harvard in the sense that it's giving you amazing resources to check into your own mind, but you could still tune out or distract yourself or pay attention to the colors and the visions and stuff instead of questioning your assumptions. I think psychedelics, when best used, are to expand your mind, literally expand what is possible and question what is possible externally, internally. You could take passive trips and they could be fun, but I think that's kind of missing the point. It's like going to Disneyland. But yeah, not right this minute. And yeah, I'd prefer moderate doses of shrooms before anything, but it's something I've been wondering about. I agree. Sorry, I had a stroke. Laughing my ass off. Really, Pooks? Were you laughing your ass off? Dude, I don't know, man. It's definitely therapy, and definitely at home being in the forefront of the mess is changing me for the better. I'm more direct, still a lot to learn though, and that's okay. I noticed just a few parts of your writing come off as condescending or sarcastic. No, not me. And that's fine as long as you purposefully want to write in that tone, but you're writing it to your readers and essentially are questioning the intelligence of your reader by saying it in that tone, saying, I think I'm smart. Duh, I got 95% on the test. Sarcasm is good in writing, but at the expense of an ambiguous third party, not at the expense of the reader. That's why I like the pic I just sent you. It's more introspective and sincere, but I do really enjoy reading it, and I think it's so interesting. I love the interaction the reader gets with the author, with the pics, and the documents. So do I take her advice humbly? No. I correct her. I say, I'm writing a character more complex than any other in the history of literature myself. I'm living a mixture of reality and fiction that pushes the boundaries of art. So yes, I judge because that's who I am. I hold up the mirror. It's not for mass consumption. It's quality. Once it is acknowledged to be at the top, then all the basic followers will jump in. But it has to be pure to earn that pedigree first. And number two, I'm so pretentious, I number my points. How did Pooks put up with me? When I'm on one sometimes, I need to balance this out. It's good to be confident, but it's alienating. And the people who stay in my life weather through my storms of vanity. And number two, any great art is not an exploration of not only content but form. This is a new form. I wrote it an interactive, interesting autobiography online, no less. As long as it stays true to an internal logic. It doesn't need to pander to an audience. As long as that's who I really am. I'm the Kanye of authors. Shit. Yeah, I am. I'm the Kanye of authors. If you take his egoism, and that's what you got to take a step back. And I've been trying to do that. That's where my mind is right here. Was like, all right, I need to take a year to process. And so this whole year has been a path towards humility. It's not like I'm humble now. I'm still the arrogant shit who wrote this. But like I've been saying for a minute, just hold your emotions, hold your faults, your possible blind spots. Be aware of them in the slightest will allow correction. Honesty and sincerity will correct towards truth. We don't improve quickly, but we do improve. And if we're transparent and we allow ourselves to be corrected by others, then I should be able to get better. I think I'm better than the person who wrote this. But I think I'm also possible of writing this too. I think Pooks, although I didn't completely agree with her assessment, I don't think my response was justified. But I was pushing my energy out, which is a sign of insecurity. I had just finished this project, no idea what I'm going to do. Still, I have a better idea of what I'm going to do a year later, but we all know that the loud, cocky, ego type confidence is usually insecure, and the calm, collected, cool confidence is the one that's secure. I'm criticizing something I think may be important to take note of. Maybe not. It's one person's opinion. I do really enjoy reading it. I think you have something important to say. Lament on these comments instead of getting defensive. You're putting it up on the internet. Haters gonna hate. That's the point. In order to judge, you must first be judged. A sphincter says what? I thought that's fucking cheesy Pooks. Anyways, she's funny though. She's cute. Some of the things that bug you about people are the things that you also miss about them. Joking Pooks. I trust you know what you're doing. See the strong egos that I attract in my life? I call her Pooks. She calls me Pooks. Why? Because it's the one up. We're not even one up, just equality. It's like when I push her and she pushes me back. That's what a strong personality needs, another strong personality. Or maybe it needs someone to dominate over, or this or that. But she was my equal in a lot of respects. And not the least of which is we both call, it was just, I thought it was interesting. It was like, Pooks. We both called each other Pooks. Joking Pooks, I trust you know what you're doing. I'll leave you to work on your project. Someone has to establish the truth. Almost used your name there. It is never objective. Once you realize that and establish it for yourself, you'll find peace. Now, I think this is actual wisdom I'm trying to give her. Just take a stand for what you believe in. I sound silly, and I'm being retarded, and I'm being maybe arrogant, egotistical, but I'm taking a stand. I'm trying to put down in time a stake, saying this is what I believe at this point in time. Regardless of what people are going to say or judge me or how it's going to look. How are we going to correct towards truth if we don't at least start speaking? That's something during my mushroom trip, March 15th, 2018. I was like, words are the honeycomb. This trip is great, but if I just sit here thinking, I'm not going to get anything. I was recording it. I was like, I need to speak. I need to allow my subconscious, my thoughts to get out there, even if they're stupid, even if this or that. The danger is in the fact that you could be wrong, but the greater danger is in not trying. Because your inheritance, human potential, is on the other side, the ability to live the wisdom of any other animal on this earth, knowing your place within the greater system. It's nice. I like where I'm at. I think I'm going to stay here a bit. And that's where Eric Fromm goes wrong. In his Art of Loving book, he says something. He says, the happiness has never been achieved by merely indulging in instinct. Because he has a suspicion, although throughout the whole book he subscribes to natural laws and natural patterns and nature this and that, very anarchistic ideas of natural expression. And he rails against authoritarianism and this and that. And yet he distrusts instinct because most of his examples come from the Bible. And he claims that he's not religious. But the Bible, it's not religious either. It's an authoritarian guidebook. It's spirituality that's been layered over a lot of authoritarian BS in that document itself. And then people like Jordan Peterson or Eric Fromm 70 years ago act like these are archetypes for us to worship and adore. That's why I invent my own tools. They're just as good as anyone else's, and at least I know they haven't been corrupted by power systems. The Bible definitely has a lot of. That's what Columbus justified his genocides. And we've been going hundreds of years now justifying, maybe even over 1,000, 2,000 years justifying genocides in the name of the Christian ethic. There's some really ugly shit at the heart of the Western Canyon because we based it upon Christian myths and ethics. It's not that Christianity is bad, but the dogma that we've wrapped it in is some authoritarian bullshit. It's some like Jesus condemning you if you don't believe in what he believes. They don't give space for the other. They don't give the humility to at least acknowledge that there's other paths and there's other truths out there. They claim absolute monopoly over the truth. And that's the arrogance that comes with modern Christianity. I'm not saying all Christianity is bad. I think that religion can be used as a corrective as long as you're using it for humility and to correct your worst emotions and your worst aspects of your human nature and tie into this universal infinity that religion, just as good as science, can be a placeholder for that which we don't know. And if it's more romantic, then stick with it. But once you put names and create a club, which then you can exclude other people and start objectifying them, that's when you got to disown it. And that's what I found on my own during this time, this whole year. Then I walked towards Zen Buddhism and Taoism, and I read a lot of stuff this year, and I've been working on validating a lot of these opinions, hypotheses. But back a year ago, December 2017, it was all instinctive. It was all just purely like, what do I need right now? I'm walking away from real estate. I'm trying to reconcile my whole life view up to this point and figure out what my next step is. And that feeling of not really eating and just laying back. I remember Shah came over and I just took a nap. I had the ability then, my mind was working so much and I was thinking so much, to just pass out at any moment. I could just like close my eyes, lay back, and take a 2 hour nap. I was in this really meditative state where I was just thinking so much that sometimes I would just be tired and then I just sleep and then I'd wake up thinking about it again. When you're really in a zone of a meditative trance, like just thinking about a project on your artwork or something, you'll work until exhaustion. And then you want to work so much, you just close your eyes, sleep, wake up, and go right back to it. Time and life have this weird continuity to them where you're so focused on a thought or a train of thought that you're not really paying attention to eating or sleeping or anything else. And I wouldn't work myself to exhaustion where I would not sleep, but I could just, if I felt tired, just close my eyes and then just get a couple hours and then wake up again. And I'm just trying to further this idea or whatever. And the reason why I tie psychedelic drug use into spirituality and everything else, because when I took mushrooms in March, I went right back to that same train of thought. Because I had King's Court as the apartment, and I had that office where I wrote all of this, and where I spent a lot of 2018 until I got evicted, laid on that same couch in that same space with the World Trade Center right out my window, the one Freedom Tower that they built up. I could see it right out my window, at the foot of which I got my ass beat by the NYPD. My life was tight. My whole story was tight. Bloomberg and Barack Obama and the powers that be said that we didn't have a right to come out in public and protest and actually have a say in our narrative. They tried to erase us from history. Ben Rhodes, Barack Obama's chief propagandist, didn't even mention our protest movement. That's how insignificant we are to them. Even though these people use the latest tools of bureaucratic power like the fusion centers in order to share federal intelligence with private banking intelligence in order to figure out the best way to disarm our movement, coordinating all of the raids on the same night. That story's not told. It's a very important story about the cancerous concentration of bureaucracy in our so-called democracies that we're using, that we're using to govern ourselves. Are we? No, we're not. They're being used in order to enforce authority on us, in order to push us along this path, which is said to be for our greater good. I found a piece here a year ago in December, and that piece where I returned back into the fabric of life itself, and that's why I was relating to Pooks, and that's why I've always trusted my emotional intelligence, because it's taken me a year to figure out how to articulate this and put it in words. It's taken me about 22,000 words that I'm writing in the current project. It's probably going to be like 36,000 when I'm done with it, to put on my website and try to articulate a framing of reality to catch myself up to now 2019 when I start trying to be a public figure. Shaz, use more affirmative language. When I am a motherfucking public figure and I start doing the things that I felt I should do when I first traveled around California. And I said, wow, this shit is corrupt to the core. These fucking politicians are clueless. There's such big disconnect between what's happening in the capital of California and what's happening with the people on the street and our supposed political leaders. And then when I went in front of Nancy Pelosi's office, there's no more reins on the horses anymore. Everything's been captured by the political, corporate, bureaucracy, military, industrial complex. These guys spend most of their time just fighting for and then retaining power. They have no intellectual capital left in order to improve the system, which is pretty much, I'm not saying democracy is ready to be thrown out, but Republican Democrat systems, come on. If Trump isn't the biggest sign that we have to there's no reason to even be involved with that party anymore. And if Barack Obama, which is just a smarter version of Trump, it looks a lot better and has a lot better image, but brokers the interest of the fucking empire at the detriment of the people. That's what, it has no political courage, has no human values or morals other than the most superficial and bland when you actually inspect the man's rhetoric compared to what he actually does. Or just not even his actions. His rhetoric justifies preemptive war of aggression, which is the exact same thing George Bush Jr. did. If you look at his foreign policy, what's the difference between that and a Republican administration? These are the people who went into Syria and Libya. Libya had one of the highest standards of living in Iraq. In Africa. And now they have slave auctions. We bombed Libya in order for them to privatize their oil fields. How is that a human value? That's a global corporatist profiteering value from the times that we were enforcing. These aren't the values that are going to save the world. He is just a better face on an ugly system. Now, that being said, the reason why I brought up Eric Fromm is that the ability to live the wisdom of any other animal on this earth, knowing your greater place within the system, that's the peace. I can't talk the politics without the peace. That's why I tried in Occupy Wall Street and other stuff. Is like, I've had these ideas about another political party and reforming government most of my adult life, trying to figure out what the fuck is actually going on. I just found this kid on Reddit who went to Iraq just to figure out what's going on outside the mainstream media. There's plenty of people out there who think like me, who feel like we're not getting the whole truth, and who want to, even for just their own personal, this is my one life to live, we want to figure out what the fuck is actually going on. Not everything, just enough to create our own opinion. But when you do that, you could really feel lonely and isolated, which is why I'm still in contact with Pooks. She's not in New York at this time, where it's not like she's coming over for booty calls. You feel alone when you recognize that most of the given narratives are bullshit, and most of them are just systems of coercion in order to justify violence, which socializes the cost of war and privatizes the profits. The largest con in history, to get people to fucking cars behind me, to get people to kill each other over ideas. Invisible lines in the sand and invisible people in the sky. Who profits off of that? People, you have a poor kid from the Midwest shooting a missile which costs more than he will make that year, at another brown poor kid from the Middle East who's getting blown up by a missile which costs more than he will make in his lifetime. Who profits from that? The people who are making these missiles, obviously. Each soldier cost $1 million to be deployed, and the military is being more and more privatized. Who profits from these? People in politics argue about ideas and argue about concepts. First of all, they're not human. And second of all, that's not what runs the world around me. Ideas and concepts. Profit. People, it's the profit motive. We all know this. People just listen to someone for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and you get their value system, and then you see how they implement that value system. That's what this year when I hung out with my friend and his little 2-year-old daughter, and I recorded the conversation and I went back to transcribe it. I saw this little kid figuring out the world and figuring out when I'm lying to her, when her father's lying to her, questioning reality. Children have a sharp enough intellect to figure out bullshit. We have to be born with bullshit detectors, or else we'd be a lot easier to dominate and pacify. We aren't. It takes a lot of effort. That's another benefit, another optimistic fact about the world is that, and that's what Julian Assange was trying to point out, there's asymmetry to this, and we have the winning side. It takes a lot more effort to obscure the truth than it does to leak the truth, which is how he was going to fight the war. He was going to poke as many holes as he could within the dominant narrative to watch it collapse upon itself by spending exponentially more time trying to plug up these leaks. It's a genius strategy, and that's all he's tried to do. And then people criticize his character, criticize his tactics, this and that. But what I've noticed is the conversation's kept at a very superficial, low level. People don't really want to climb up the levels of conversation at what the guy's actually trying to do, what all of us should be trying to do. Well, let's keep it about the race and the sex, this and that, and this girl in Washington Square Park, not girl, woman. She told me she was there with her daughter who was going to NYU and her daughter's boyfriend. And I was talking to her a little bit about politics, and she was like, but I like the Obamas. That's what everyone says. I like the Obamas. Oh, they're sweet people. Yeah, because you're a fucking ignorant cunt, aren't you? You don't have a deep thought in your head, do you? Because it's painful, and it's frustrating. It's taken me a year to articulate my thoughts, and even then, now I have to. All I've done is I've taken the emotional instinct that I had, which I said later on, 3 months later when I was taking mushrooms, came back out. So I was like, I know that these psychedelic drugs do something with your mind which you can do yourself because I've done it myself. In Puerto Rico, I stopped having visions. I was having visions, a lot of visual hallucinations, and I told my mind, I was like, I want a different trip. I don't want to just check out and see a bunch of crazy shit. And I saw one of the visions and I grabbed it. It was a woman. And then instead of it disappearing, I disappeared. And I still had the woman. I saw a woman flash in front of my eyes, and I just grabbed onto it. I held onto it. And I was seeing a lot of images flash in front of me. And I saw this one, and I focused on it, and I held on to it. I felt I was grabbing it. And I went somewhere, and now I was in a vault. And I took 5, and they said, I have 30 left. I was 35, so I don't know if that's what it was or what it was. I took 5 grams of mushrooms. I'm not trying to figure out what the symbology and this and that is. The point is, after that, I didn't get visions. Sometimes they flash in and out, but usually when I take mushrooms now, I don't really trip out with my senses because it was overwhelming. And I concentrated, and I said, this is my fucking mind. I'm doing these for a reason, to figure out what the fuck is in my head. And when my senses were overwhelming me, I just concentrated. And now I'm on top of the wave. I relate it to like surfing, the soul that straddles all worlds. So those thoughts I get when I'm on top of the wave, and I'm not overwhelmed by the sensory hallucinations, but I'm actually with my thoughts and thinking and using that energy into whatever processing I'm doing, even if it's just a breathing exercise or if it's just, but I'm not focusing at something and allowing the visuals or fucking other shit. There's other shit to think about. There's other shit to do. And the same thoughts that I was getting in March were the same thoughts I was getting that December that I'm relating to Pooks, which is why I say I like where I'm at. I think I'm going to stay here a bit. I had a sense of peace that I get on a really deep mushroom trip without any drugs, but merely meditating on my life, really accepting my death, really just putting it into words, articulating it, having peace with my whole story and my whole narrative to this point. Being in the middle of chaos and calamity and bills and fucking and insecurity, no idea what I was going to do. Alone, I had her comfort, but no body with me, and hungry and tired and fucking, but I was good. I was like, but this is as true as I know life to be. That's my benefit in real estate, is I saw our market and our interactions with our clients better than my competition. So I could weed out the bullshit who wanted to waste my time. And then when I found someone who was willing to pay for a service, they could quickly see that I understood the market. I understood how to solve their problem better than the next guy. And I could articulate to them within 3 to 5 minute conversation over the phone. And every time we went through one of my steps from step 1 to step 6, it was seamless. This is fucking broker guy who fucking like stock market or some shit. No, because those guys usually didn't close with me. They were usually looking for free information so they could go try to replicate it on their own. But he was something. He was business though. He was like, this is the most efficient day I've ever had. Because by the time we met up to see apartments, I had step 1 qualified him. Step 2 sent him a market analysis. Then he picked out his top choices. Step 3, the morning of, I went and fucking qualified those again. Called up all the management companies, other brokers, made sure that we're actually going to see what we're going to see. Because when we show up with a client, there's no fucking, by the time I meet with a client, my time is more valuable than the client's time. So we're not going to do any bait and switch or bullshit. We're not selling that way. We're selling off of efficiency. But because the client's already seen addresses and pictures, and out of fucking 20, 30 apartments I sent him, he's already shortlisted 10. Once they send me back that 10 apartment shortlist, I know I've already had a conversation with them that, look, don't cheat on me as a broker, and you're going to pay me if I do what I say I'm going to do, and it's going to be this amount, 1 month or 15%, which is 1.8 months, and that'll depend on the apartment. If it's a fucking high fee apartment, they better be giving us a good rent to compensate. If not, then let's just go for the lower fee. But I'll honestly tell you which ones are the high fee or the low fees, and we'll make a decision. And they're apples and oranges, so we have to turn everything into effective rent. Take the fee, amortize it into the rent, and then we get everything into effective rent, so that way we're comparing apples to apples. But they see every single step. I'm setting expectations, and I'm following through with my expectations. So by the time we meet up, we have our fucking agenda already set. I've out of their 10 apartments, 5 to 8 I'd be able to fit into our schedule. The others had a couple apps, which only add to the sense of urgency. These apartments are going because they're quality apartments. And then I set them up every half an hour to an hour. Start between 12 and 5. So 12, 12:31, 1:32, 2:30. Many days I've had between 12 and 5 of apartment every half hour. 10 fucking apartments. When I did this in October, I showed that kid like 14 fucking apartments that day. I can't believe he fucked me because I actually stopped halfway through after the second apartment. One of the management companies told me, they're like, this guy's contacting us directly. They try to give me a heads up. They're like, because we all look out like that. We all work with each other fucking over the years. So one of these guys knew me in this big management company that managed a bunch of buildings on the Upper East. And he was like, yo, is that your client? Because he's contacting us on his own. So just a heads up to let me know if I want to cut him. Because if this guy's going to go with them directly, then fucking let him try to negotiate his best deal directly. He could probably get a better deal directly, save a month fee instead of with me. But he's not going to see 10 apartments with me to make sure that's the best one. That's the value I provide. And that's why I try to make clear with people from the first phone call. You could see a couple apartments. You can maybe see fucking 5 within a day. But I doubt you'll be as efficient as me because this is what I do. I know how to navigate the streets of Manhattan, but also I have a reputation from being a broker and having a company now where I could get people into my schedule. That's why I could get a 12, 12:31, 1:30. Otherwise, you're getting into everyone else's schedule. So you're seeing a 12, a 2 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and maybe a 5 o'clock or a 6 o'clock open house. But you're not seeing 10 apartments in a day. And if you want to get the best thing out there, you have to run through the market as fast as possible to make a decision because there's a lot more people doing what you're doing. And I would tell clients after a couple of years, you get all these experience points that you can just drop when you need to. So I would tell people, usually you can sleep on it. Very rarely do I tell people by that day we have to put in an app. I'm like, if you want to put in an app, go ahead, sleep on it. Your mind processes different when you sleep. But I highly suggest tomorrow between 10 a.m. and noon, we're putting in an app on an apartment. Because that's why we did so much work today. Because everyone else is doing the same thing you're doing. And it's going to take people just a matter of time to run through the same amount of apartments or however many they need to make a decision. And their top choice is probably going to be one of your top choices. So I would tell them, I've been beat by 5 minutes on an apartment and I've beat other people as well. So if we run through the market within a day, that's how New York works. You see as many apartments as fast as you can. Then you make a decision because you're competing against a lot of people. The value I provide is I'm qualifying these apartments and putting them into our schedule so we see them faster. And then you also have someone watching you every step of the way to make sure our paperwork's good. If there is any negotiation in the rent, we're going to get that down. And that's why you pay the fee, for the insurance basically, of knowing that you did the process efficiently. And then also, when I first started, I didn't have all that experience, but I knew that at the very least they had a guy in the industry. For the term of your lease, if you need anything, any sublet services, any questions, call me. I'm trying to start a business. It's built on relationships. Now you know a guy in the industry. So at the very least, using my service as insurance. So that way, for the term of the lease, if you ever need any real estate stuff, you have a guy. And every month or two, I'd have an old client call me for a sublet or something or a question, and I try to solve their problems best I can. And those are the apartments sometimes I lived in. The fucking sublets on my clients trying to get out of their apartments. I'd be like, I think I might know a guy who needs a place in the Lower East Side for 3 months. Boom. Now Shaz is living in the Lower East Side for 3 months. So, yeah, that was a good little ranty rant. We got 22 minutes. All right, so I think there's one more page for the Pooks. Yeah, me being wrong is a possibility. The same as anything is a possibility, and the fucking balls on this girl. But you are immediately rejecting what I say instead of maybe considering my version of it. It's your prerogative at the end of the day. I'm just pointing it out. Anyways, I'll let you be. I'm at work and I don't want to steer your focus from your project. I generally think it's great what you're doing. Can't wait to read more. She was a huge source of esteem for me. She really helped me out. I don't know if I've told her that, but by sticking with me, like January, February after I wrote this, I was trying to live more honestly and openly. Yeah, and I have four more. That's good. I have four more to do. I was trying to live more honestly and openly, and I was like, I need to. I mean, I had already started dating the dancer. The dancer moved in with me, and I was like, I can't fucking keep Pooks on the string. She's still. We don't know what we're doing, but we're talking about fucking what school our kids would go to and shit. And I don't care if she cheated on me or not. I don't think she did though. So she was in another city just waiting for me for a whole year. She was out in New York. She would come back to visit a couple times during the year. She came in. She came around October for. I took her to this party, one of those fancy parties, the one I was going to take the dancer to. Costume party, dressed up. That's one of these 5 grams and 8 joints. I took 5 grams of mushrooms. That's what it is. You can't really do psychedelics in a public place if you're fucking tripping out on visual hallucinations and shit. But once you get on that high level shit where you can like really like be the soul that straddles all worlds and be tripping in a public place, you get some interesting reads on the world. Fucking, you're just, but you have to be able to control your energy because your sensitivity is off the fucking radar. Like I was in the subway, tripping out fucking in October, and this kid's energy across from me, he was playing foot games. He was just pushing his feet into the aisle towards me, and I could just feel it. And I wasn't. You could overreact to a lot of stupid shit because you're seeing a lot of stupid shit. Like when you're high, that shit exists. You're paranoid, but you're seeing shit that fucking you normally would be ignoring because you're super sensitive. So I saw this fucking kid in the subway just push his feet out, and I just felt so I put my feet out and then pull him back, and just there's this little energy game that was bugging me. I was like, this fucking motherfucker's testing me with his feet. He was just some chubby kid riding up to the Bronx, but also that's something else I notice on mushrooms. Like my energy, since I'm riding on top of the wave, I feel it. That sensitivity becomes under my command. When you own it, you feel up. I feel fucking invincible, not physically, but like I really do feel like a king. Like your spirit is just like, and people, I've noticed I'm fucking super attractive in certain respects. That's what when I was one of the indiscretions on Pooks, I went to the House of Yes, to one of their love parties and dressed up in a female costume. It was right after Halloween, and I put on a leotard. Went to a Halloween store, bought a female costume, discounted, just a skin tight suit like a mime. It was a leotard, and I just put on the black suit basically and put some roses in my hair. And Pooks did my makeup actually. She sent me out, and she went to one of those parties too. I think she made out with some dude. That shit happens. I didn't really tell her about my indiscretion until later. Like if you go to like a sexy party where like people are dressing up in fucking like titties out and fucking like spandex and shit, it's like their sex party. Like they say like if you want to get a blowjob, go to the bathroom. Don't do it on the dance floor. But we're not saying don't do it. This is a freaky party. So fucking I was dressed up like crazy, but Pooks had to work in the morning or something. And then the fucking when she went, I don't know why. I would tell Pooks that. I would say that both of us kind of we were together, but we would take these steps back where we weren't really together. I would try to tell her, which is why I want to keep talking to her to process, but she's not really into it because I guess she's not into that cycle of arguing or it's not my, if our relationship isn't there, it's not there. And if it's not there, then I can't force her to process with me. I have a level of introspection by which I want to live, and then she has hers, and they might not be the same. But I was trying to tell her, I was like, we've had times in our relationship, both of us kind of took steps back and acted like we were single. We were always kind of like, she would tell me too, like, she didn't want to really commit. I know because like this House of Yes thing is a perfect example. I went to one of their sex parties alone and she did too. Why did we do that? It can't be just because we were both busy. We both kind of like to be single and play the field a little bit. Only me being a little bit more of a dog, I would fucking actually like fuck people. She would. I think she just. I've had girlfriends like that before too. It's nice for them to go out and have fun, and I trust them completely. So I don't. She told me right. She felt kind of bad. I could just pick up the vibe. She told me afterwards there was this guy she met there, and she made out with him kind of, and she felt really. I thought she fucked him. I was really fucking. I don't know why I'd be worried. You got to be equal in your how you live. I thought that was gonna be. I didn't tell her about my experience because she only kissed the guy. I was like, oh fucking. Did I tell her? I might have. No, I think I told her that I kissed the girl. I didn't. I equaled it to what she said, which is another thing. That's not a healthy relationship. You want to be able to just be honest. Life is too short, and the benefits of a union in that actual love, vulnerability of two people really getting to know each other. The benefits are so great that why hold back? Why? So it'd be nice to have someone that you can really be sincerely honest with no matter what you do. But that means you have to love yourself. You have to be okay with yourself. And when you do stuff like this, you have to be willing to be like, well, this is what I did and accept the consequences. But dating her and being that half in and out, and then dating the dancer later on where we were just completely, well, no, the dancer wasn't honest with me. That's the biggest thing. She thought it was okay for her to lie about her indiscretions and I'd have to pull them out of her. And it fucking just made me, it was exhausting to try to notice that she kind of was a little bit distant and then pull it out and finally, oh yeah, there's this guy or there's this something. Because that's what a pretty girl in New York will always get hit on. And it's okay to have these open relationship type things, but you just gotta, that's the thing, is if you're not honest, it's just exhausting. So I'm trying to learn how to be more honest. Also figure out what I want, because it's also exhausting to play the field all your life. But yeah, about the mushrooms, I went to this House of Yes party, and then this fucking, I was on mushrooms. I was just floating through the party, and then like girls are coming up, oh, you look beautiful, and it's like, yeah, I am, I'm beautiful, and with my makeup and my lipstick and shit, and I just ended up, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get in the hot tub. I was dancing a little bit. This gay guy really was aggressively grabbing me, dancing with me, because I look fucking gay probably, and I was just like trying to like chill. No, man, I'm just chilling, and then you realize when you're hit on like that as a guy, like just how fucking that it's annoying. And I'm not even threatened by it, but I'm kind of like, how much do I have to be like, fucking chill, dude? Like, I'll dance with you because I don't want to, like, just like a girl. You realize what girls do. I don't want to reject you. I don't want to be an asshole. You got cool energy. Cool. I'll fucking keep that energy going. I'll keep you going. But then I'll keep some distance because I don't want to lead you on. And then you try to fucking grab my hand and pull me on the dance floor. It's like, no, dude, I don't want to. Not really gay. I'm undercover. I'm just being kind of silly right now. I'm on mushrooms. And then he starts fucking being moody and shit, and then dancing with someone else to make me jealous. It's like, dude, your gaydar is way off, man. I'm not really gay. Anyway, so I'm in fucking the line for the hot tub, and then like there's this group, fucking a couple black dudes, and they had some good energy, and the girl they were with, they were a little bit loud, and so we're all being a little loud, sharing cigarettes and shit. And then these two lesbians come up, and they're young energy from Canada. Canadians are super nice and sweet, and she looks like Ellen DeGeneres, and she has her own talk show up there, like this YouTube talk show. She's one of the influencers up there. I could probably look her ass up, but she's like, I looked her up later on, and she was blowing up. She's like a little fucking Ellen DeGeneres wannabe up there. She told me, I want to be like her. I was just fucking feeling their energy. They were very sweet, and she was very. So me and her start connecting, and then we're all cold, and we're waiting for this fucking hot tub where you have to go up, get naked, fucking wrap up in a towel, walk through the party, go shower in this fucking cubicle, and then walk back through the party in a towel, and then you can finally get in the hot tub naked with a bunch of other strangers. And me being fucking like shroom me out, I just wanted to kind of float. So I had found my little group. I had made friends, which another reason to do things like this, just to put yourself in uncomfortable. That's the whole point of this fucking real estate mode of my life, is to get back into society. I'd been so much criticizing it and on the outside talking about politics, but it was like, no, let's get back into the people and live. And so that's what, like, this party was supposed to be the party. It's one of the fucking coolest venues in New York, apparently, or like supposedly. But like, it's fun. It's a good group of people. Like, so they're yeah. If you want to just fucking push the boundaries of shit. And then their sex party is one of their wildest parties. They throw it once a month. It's called the House of Love. House of Love at House of Yes. So yeah, that's what, like, the same with the drugs. When I did heroin with my friend, it's like, just, if fucking, I'm not, what you're doing is what I can do what you do. Can you do what I do? It's like when I made money too. It's like, all right, yeah, fucking, they didn't respect us when we protested. Okay, so I'll build a business. Now will you respect me? Fucking, my junkie friends don't respect me because I don't have a habit. All right, I'll do your fucking drugs. Now will you respect me? I didn't get caught up. Why are you still caught up? It's a mental thing. Fucking so many Vietnam soldiers were using heroin when they were over there. When they came back into their social relationships and actually have like families and love and a normal life, they stopped using. Addiction, in my experience in my life, most of the addicts I know are treating shit with addiction, but it's something in their life and in their head and in their heart about their relationships and how they love or their lack of love. But the drug, it's a good drug, and I could see how people get caught up. Cocaine the same way. I wasn't caught up though, and I know people who walk in and out of those worlds. I knew a guy in Santa Cruz who's just like, His friend fucking started using again, relapsed, and his friend was really fucked up. He was a friend of all of ours, but he had problems. But our friend who lived with us was like, oh, back on the smack, and he just fucking jumped right back into it. And we were all like, what the fuck? You're just gonna start using heroin again? Because he used to use it in high school. He was like, ah, why not? Nothing else going on. Fucking like 3 months, 6 months. And then fucking at the end of those 6 months, he was like, oh, time to get off the smack. And we're like, and I looked at this dude like, is that how you do it? He was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the sick boy method. Locked himself in the garage. He had a little room in the garage, a bucket for piss, vomit, and shit or whatever. We complained because he would dump the fucking piss bucket out the window into the side yard. But he just fucking, I've seen that guy willfully get on heroin for half a year and then just be like, oh, done with the heroin, time to get off. Like, some people are like that. Some people, his fucking sister overdosed, though. So, hopefully he doesn't, like when I did it, I was like, I'm not gonna fucking, I don't have anything to prove other than that. I've known enough people, part of my story, I wanted to get firsthand experience, but I've known enough people get hurt by it to not dance with that particular devil. I know enough people to get hurt by meth to not even want to do that once. What I know about heroin is it doesn't really hurt you. It's the addiction that hurts you, but the drug itself is relatively innocuous. Heroin, the drug itself, is pretty fucking shitty. I mean, not heroin, meth. If methamphetamine, and I've taken Adderall and shit, but if meth wasn't so cut with so much bullshit, I would probably take it just to see. But even then, meth fucking kind of fucks up with your brain. I've seen some fucking old meth addicts who are really fucked up. So, but no, heroin is just, it's the addiction, but it's not the drug itself. It's relatively harmless, the drug, I think, from what I can tell. The bad thing, though, when I told my friend, I was like, it's very dangerous because these pleasure centers, to be hitting these pleasure centers just at voluntary will, to hit that love pleasure center of complete bliss, which took me certain aspects, certain times of my life. I've only experienced that naturally certain aspects of my life. To just fucking turn that on can't be healthy psychologically. Because these pathways, your garden is like fucking fertilizer in your garden. You grow shit the natural way, then I think it's healthier. When you skip steps or you put more nitrates in the ground or this and that, you're usually paying for it somehow. There's usually a price. So it's interesting. Like, since I've done heroin, I think about it differently than when I didn't do it. So that's a little bit of a blind spot. Since I know how good it feels, I'll probably do it at least once more in my life. It's a strong drug. It's interesting. You can tell someone how something holds onto someone just by how many times they bring it up. While I did these videos, I brought it up a couple times. Cocaine, in my mind, I categorize it. I've dealt with cocaine too. You don't hold it, don't stay around it, this and that. Knowing your blind spots doesn't mean that it's something that has to prey upon you. I figured that out with alcohol. After I got the DUI, I was like, my relationship with alcohol isn't that healthy. I don't really drink. I'll go out and I'll turn up, and when I turn up, I'll be like an Indian or it's an Irishman in me or something. I don't want to blame genetics, but I have the ability to get on a good drunk. I want to get on a good drunk. I could be a little irresponsible, a little silly. So I try to keep those to a minimum, but I still do them. Every now and then, I like to have that let loose feeling with some friends or some other stuff. You don't gotta live life as a total prude. Everything in moderation, including moderation. But anyways, I'm at this party. This whole story about the party was just about the effect of mushrooms seem to have on other people. To relate it to fucking that time of my life when I felt like I'd talked and meditated and written myself into a mushroom type state. Because 3 months after I wrote that, I took mushrooms and I sat in that room and I was like, I really feel like I felt in December. I felt that same calm and that same perspective. This is my life story. This is what I'm doing. And then you just continue that. Every time I take mushrooms, I go back to that same conversation. And that's why I've been telling people, they really are, in my opinion, and then what I can tell from anthropology of their use, tools that we've used culturally as a species in order to reaffirm our stories, call out truths. I say, when I first did 5 grams of mushrooms, I packed them into vials, and I said that it was like elephant bullets for elephant guns. I was going on a safari, and I was calling out truths. I was saying, what is true in this world? What is true in life? What is your truth? What is my truth? I'm calling out truths, and I kept saying, I'm calling out truths. Tell me what is true. Let's figure this shit out. And when I take mushrooms, I feel like that. I feel like I'm just looking at the world. What the fuck is true? I think before I take them, I think while I'm taking them, and I think after I'm taking them, and I compare all of those thoughts. And it takes a couple weeks afterwards to contextualize all this. But it's the same feeling that I got off of that fucking meditative, like look at my whole life. It's this really slow, deep, calm, meditative. I'm okay with death. I'm okay with life. I'm this unified sense of life that animates me and also animates any other living thing. And also the earth, it functions itself as a macro organism with all these other inputs. This whole thing that we're all in this huge fucking sine curve, this huge wave of experience, which is pulsing outwards. You can look at the cycles of anything, of the solar system, the galaxy. Everything is, we're a part of the whole, but as such, we're affecting the whole's affecting us. And with the right perspective, you could really feel that wave. You could really feel like I'm fucking riding life and life is riding me. I would feel that when I'm high sometimes, just really stoned. I'm just like, I'm riding the wave of life with minimal effort. Just chilling, and yet I'm expressing that sense of being which requires no effort, which I criticize Eric Fromm for. It's not. And that's like a Zen idea. By releasing control. Like if you hold sand in your hand and you squeeze it, the sand goes through your fingers. That's what me and my female friends growing up, we talk about love and relationships and shit. And I don't remember who came up with that metaphor, but I say it all the time since. You cup love, you cup sand, you cup an ass. But when you fucking squeeze the sand, it goes through your fingers. So gentle support. You can't hold back the wave of the ocean. You can't put your hands up and hold back the ocean. You gotta go with its energy. Yeah, the same with life. Once you learn how to live life like that, you're on this Zen tip where you're just fucking just chilling. And I think mushrooms remind you of that. They remind you of how to do that. And then that's what fucking Cary Grant, I think, the movie star, said when he started tripping on acid during therapy. He did like 50, 60 fucking, it's in Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, who doesn't seem like he's learned how to do that, but he related a lot of the history of psychedelics. Just drew a lot of bullshit conclusions from it because he's a little bitch in my opinion. But jazz. You need to unpack all all these emotions. But yeah, he said it made him irresistible to the opposite sex, and that's what I'm in this line for this hot tub, and this lesbian's coming up to me, and we're just cuddling, trying to keep each other warm, and when we're in the hot tub, we're just fucking like just vibing. I'm just telling her, I'm like, I don't know if that was her girlfriend or her friend, but her friend got kind of turned off by her energy. But like, we were just like, I'm not in the costume anymore. I'm naked in the hot tub. She's naked in the hot tub. And I'm just telling her, I'm like, you're going to be famous. I could sense it. You got that Kanye shit. You got that energy. I saw her for who she was, her energy. I was like, you're a big spirit. And you manage your spirit well. And she was like, yeah, I know. The party was sold out. She couldn't get in. And then she somehow talked her way into the party. I had bought tickets like a week ago. Some of these things sell out quick. And she talked her way into the party with her friend. She was like, I'm just in New York from visiting from Canada, and I knew I had to be here tonight. I just felt like I had to be here. I was like, I recognize it. I recognize who you are. You're a very strong force. And we were drawn to each other. We just started making out, and fucking some dude fucking tells me, she's like on the other side of the hot tub or something. He's like, yo, the black dude, he was like, I thought she was a lesbian, yo. I was like, I don't know, maybe they're my type. I don't know what it is. And she told me I was the first guy she was with, and she came back to my apartment. She tried to have sex with me. I'm like, I'm useless on mushrooms. I don't want that. Some people tell me they like having sex on mushrooms. I don't know if they affect everyone differently. I don't know if it's just me, but like, it was the person and the connection. She came over the next night. We hooked up, and she was like, all that fucking French shit that people do in Canada. When people fucking come in different languages, it cracks you up. They're like, we, like, it's just interesting. It's like, we're so silly as what we're used to and this and that. When I was with a Taiwanese girl too, just like, I don't know, maybe that's my ethnocentrism or whatever. It's interesting. And that's why you have sex with different people. That's why you share different bodies, open up your horizons. She made love like a French Canadian, and a young one, a young girl, and she had so much energy and passion, but a lot of ego. Wanted to be famous, and then I kind of like ghosted her because I had a girlfriend. I wasn't gonna fucking try to keep this girl as a fuck buddy, or even she came back into the city, and I went meet up with her. I was like, that's the temptation of life. Should I keep this going? I loved Pooks, but I also needed to figure out what I want in life. Yeah. But no. You have to think about these things, try to be honest. How honest can I be with myself? And to be happy is the question.